My name is Owen. I am 35, the oldest kid, the one who gets things done. I fix pipes for a living. People call me when their kitchen turns into a puddle, or when the water heater dies 20 minutes before guests arrive. My van smells like coffee and polyvinyl chloride cement. My knuckles are always scraped. I keep a notebook in the glove box with addresses, parts, and who still owes me $50 because they swore they would sell later. In my family, I have always been background. My sister Ava is the golden one. She is 29, the creative. That is what my mom says when she explains why Ava does not have a steady job. Ava has followers. Ava has a ring light. Ava has a laugh that makes adults bend toward her like plants. My parents glow around her. Around me, they relax. You relax when the plumber arrives. You know the leak will stop. You do not clap for it. I am not bitter about the work. I like knowing that what I do matters. I like the click when a fitting seats right. I like making hot water appear. I do not like being the house wallet with legs. December rolled in quick that year, salt on the roads, my phone buzzing with urgent and, any chance you can swing by? I stacked small boxes of chocolates clients gave me on my counter and told myself I would bring them to Christmas dinner. We do Christmas Eve at my parents' place. Same roast, same playlist, same beige napkins my mom irons flat and then scolds us for wrinkling. I pulled up with a tray of baked ziti and, out of habit, my toolbox. My dad always finds a quick thing for me to fix. He calls it tradition. I call it free labor. The porch light hit me like a dentist lamp. I could see the tree through the front window and the streak of Ava's hair when she tossed her head back, laughing. I balanced the tray on my hip and reached for the handle. The door opened a crack. Ava filled the space. She took in the boots with salt lines, the work jacket, the toolbox handle, and my fist. "We do not want a plumber at dinner," she said, sweet, like she was giving a tip for next time. Behind her, my dad laughed from the table, mouthful. My mom's voice floated out. "Is that Owen? Tell him to leave the tools on the porch." Ava did not blink. You heard them. The tray dipped. I adjusted it. The porch light hummed somewhere. Wind chimes knocked around like teeth. I tried to smile, the kind where you pretend this is all a bit. "I brought ziti," I said. "The kitchen is full," she replied. "Just wipe your boots. The rug is new." She stepped back 2 inches, just enough to make me slide sideways like a delivery guy. There was a flash of my reflection in the glass. Tired eyes, dust on the sleeve. The toolbox I did not set down. Mom walked by with a stack of plates and did not look up. Dad called, "Sink slow. After we eat you can snake it. 5 minutes." I stood in the entry with the tray in the toolbox and the smell of cinnamon in my nose. I felt something shift, not a snap, more like a switch finding a new position. I set the tray on the console table and kept my voice flat. "Okay," I said. 5 minutes after dinner. No one answered. Ava was already filming the tree. On her screen I was a blur, a shape to slide around. My phone buzzed in my pocket. From Mom, "Be nice tonight. Do not start." I put the toolbox by the door. It made a soft, heavy sound. I wiped my boots. I told myself to breathe. I told myself not to ruin Christmas. I told myself a lot of things while the house laughed without me, and I walked into the dining room anyway. If that little moment at the door seemed small, it was not small to me. It was a repeat. I have been pushed through half-open doors my whole life. When I was 12, Dad got laid off. "Temporary," he said. That became the family word. Temporary turned into months. I picked up a paper route. Mom took the cash and said we were a team. Ava was 6 and practicing cartwheels in the living room. She got the last apple because she is growing. I told myself I was growing too, just sideways. At 16, I fixed our toilet with a video and a borrowed wrench. Dad thumped the tank. "You have got a knack," he said, like I had found a magic trick. After that, no one called a professional. They called me. We never paid labor again. We paid an Owen. Ava got into a private program for media arts after high school. Money was a problem immediately. "Loans are normal," Mom said. "Family helps," Dad added, eyes on me. I was already apprenticing. $10 an hour felt huge. I covered the deposit just to hold her spot. Then I bought the dorm bedding because we cannot send her with nothing. Then the gap tuition because it is only this once. It was not once. It was a drip. Drips fill a bucket if you ignore them. When Ava dropped out, not aligned with my purpose, her costs did not drop. They rearranged into a different leak. New phone for content, new shoes for an event, new camera rental because my brand needs crisp. Somehow my card was always the one that worked. I grew into my license, real jobs, real checks. I bought better tools. I started saying yes to emergency calls because they paid double. I began keeping a spreadsheet on my phone. Date, amount, why, promise back, yes or no, received. No. I did not add judgment to the rows. I added numbers. Numbers do not lie. They just sit there. Mom's way of asking for help changed over time. She stopped using words. She sent screenshots, a red past due stamp, the 3 dots. I was supposed to fill in the rest. When I did not answer fast, she called, "We should not have to beg our own son." Dad texted, "Thought you cared about family." Ava sent a voice note that started with, "Hate to ask," and ended with, "You are a lifesaver. They train me like a dog. Buzz, transfer. Good boy." There were humiliations I told myself were jokes. Easter, Mom introduced me to a cousin as our helper at a barbecue. Dad said, "Owen is not a real plumber. He just likes crawling in dirt," and everyone laughed, including me, because if I did not laugh, I would hear the quiet bang in my chest. Ava filmed me under the sink once and captioned it, "Gremlin." I commented a wrench emoji. She wrote back, "Do not be sensitive. I did my duty. I replaced their water heater. I put their internet on my card temporarily. I fixed the tub, the shower diverter, the hose bib, the ice maker line. I took Dad to 2 appointments when he could not drive. I gave Mom gas money, while calling it grocery cash so she would not feel bad. But she never felt bad. She felt entitled. Last spring they asked me to co-sign a personal loan to reset everything. I said no. Mom cried, "After all we did for you." Dad said, "You will regret this." Ava texted, "Wow, cool." I sent a paragraph about budgets and cutting cable and cooking at home. No one replied. 2 days later, Mom sent a screenshot of the electric bill. By summer, I was doing more math than plumbing. I would sit in the van between jobs and total the leaks. $114 for medications, $68 for internet, $560 for the car payment, $900 for Ava's opportunity course that would help her scale. I read about boundaries on my lunch break with my sandwich still in the wrapper. Words like enmeshment and parentification started to stick. My therapist asked me, "If you were a valve, where would you close?" I did not know. Valves are for systems. Families are supposed to be different. But our family was a system. I was the pressure regulator. Then autumn hit and their ass got louder. Dad's shoulder started acting up. He missed work. Mom forgot to pay property taxes and it spiraled into fees. Ava's ring light broke and she could not create. The group text lit up with dates and due amounts like fireworks. I muted the thread and felt guilty for an hour, and then unmuted it and paid 2 bills in a row because the guilt was louder. There were also the little digs that kept the story in place. Do not be dramatic. Stop bringing up the past. You are lucky we let you do trade school. Not everyone gets supported. That one made me laugh because I pictured the spreadsheet. Supported is an interesting word when my name shows up in every memo line. 2 weeks before Christmas, Mom sent the rules for gifts. Limit $300. The next text was from Ava privately. "Can we talk? I need something special this year. Camera upgrade equals huge growth." I wrote, "Not this year." I deleted it. I wrote, "We will see." I hated that text the instant it left my phone. It was not yes. It was not no. It was the sound a valve makes when it vibrates because the pressure is wrong. The day before Christmas Eve, my phone rang while I was under a sink. "Dad, when you come tomorrow, bring the big auger," he said. "No hello, just drain slow." I said okay because the word lived in my mouth like a reflex. On Christmas Eve morning, I baked ziti and wiped the grease from my hands and picked up the toolbox like it was a part of me. I told myself it was easier to say yes to a slow drain than to the other asks I knew were coming. I told myself I was choosing peace. But peace bought with resentment is not peace. It is debt. Which is how I ended up at their door with the tray and the toolbox and Ava looking at me like a contractor who forgot to use the side entrance. "We do not want a plumber at dinner," she said. And my dad laughed. And my mom texted me to be nice and something inside me finally found the switch my therapist had asked about. I did not flip it then. Not yet. I walked in. I put the tray down. I sat. I ate. I watched Ava film. I smiled when Mom complained that the gravy was too thick, and Dad made his yearly joke about my fancy wrench. I hummed along to the playlist and tried not to turn the whole night into a fight. But you cannot keep water from finding its level. It always does. After dinner we did gifts. Mom loves a performance. Everyone sits in a circle. One person opens at a time while the rest watch and comment like judges. Ava had wrapped hers in glossy paper with velvet ribbon. Mine was a bag with tissue that shed glitter onto my jeans. "Open yours, honey," Mom said, eyes bright. Voice sugar with a seed in it. I pulled out tissue. Out came a plastic baby doll. Bald, eyes too blue. a tiny bottle attached with a twist tie for the one without a family. Ava sang like a commercial jingle. Dad laughed. Mom tried to hide her smile and did not. I looked at the baby. It looked back with painted surprise. My heart did not pound. It went very, very quiet. That quiet was not numb. It was a clear room with a table in the middle and a single chair. I sat down in that room in my head. "Thank you," I said evenly. I set the doll on my lap. Ava pouted. "You could pretend to have a sense of humor." "I have one," I said. "It just is not cruel." Max, Ava's on-again, off-again guy, held up his phone. "Do it again," he told her. "The line about the plumber." I missed it for the story. He laughed at his own sentence. He always laughs first. Mom clapped her hands. Okay. Our turn." She slid 2 identical boxes toward me. "This is from us to you." I opened the first. Inside, a sweater, too small, tag still on, marked final sale. The second box held socks. Dad smirked. "Practical." I nodded. "Very." I reached behind my chair. "Mine to you." I handed Mom and Dad each a flat package, craft paper, no bows. Ava rolled her eyes. "Minimalist, of course." "Open them," I said. They did. The paper tore. The lids came off. Inside, envelopes, not money, but bills, car notices, electric, internet, pharmacy, property tax, late fees, each with a sticky note in my handwriting, date, amount I paid, confirmation numbers. A cover sheet on top with totals by year. I had highlighted my name on every memo line and auto pay. Mom went still. Dad frowned like the print was too small. Ava lifted the edge of a stack and made a face. "This is weird," she said. "It is a record," I said. My voice stayed low. I did not rush. 6 years, $51,480. That is the total in the corner. I kept receipts because that is how I am. I brought them so you can keep them. I will not be needing them anymore. Mom's voice came out thin. "Why would you bring this tonight?" "Because tonight you made me an other again," I said, glancing at the doll. "I wanted you to see who I have been the whole time." Dad snorted. "You want a medal for paying a few bills?" I met his eyes. "I want a boundary." Ava laughed, delighted. "Is this like an intervention for us?" She turned her phone on so a tiny red dot looked at me. "No," I said, and I turned my head so the camera caught my ear. "It is an intervention for me." Dad's chair scraped. "Enough. Go snake the sink." "No," I said. The word did not boom. It landed. The room heard it. Max looked up from his phone. Mom blinked. Ava's smile froze. "No," Mom repeated, as if it were a foreign word. "No." I set the doll on the coffee table next to the stacks. I am not snaking the sink. I am not paying the internet next week because the auto pay was on my card. I am not sending $300 for Ava's camera. I am not co-signing anything. I am done. I kept my hands flat on my knees. This is not about revenge. This is about closure. Silence. The tree clicked as a light warmed somewhere. The heat kicked on. I felt the room think. Mom found her voice first. "You are doing this to embarrass us." "I am doing this to end something," I said. "You can call the utility company and set up a plan. You can cook at home. You can sell the extra sport utility vehicle you do not need. You can call an actual plumber for the sink and pay him." Dad's face darkened. "We are your parents." "I know," I said quietly. "You are my parents. You are also my creditors. I let you be both. That is on me. It stops now." Ava folded her arms. "So, you are just abandoning your family." "I am not abandoning anyone," I said. "I am refusing to fund adults who mock me while asking for my card." Max whispered to Ava, "This is content." And she hissed, "Shut up," which almost made me laugh. Mom pushed the boxes away like they might bite. "You have always been so ungrateful." I looked at the stacks. "Those papers say otherwise." Dad pointed at the hallway. "Out!" I stood. I did not grab the toolbox yet. I slid my coat on. I looked around the room, whom I have spent decades fixing inside walls I did not own. I picked up the plastic baby and set it carefully on top of the bills. "For the one without a family," I said softly. "Turns out that is not me." That was sharper than I meant. I breathed. "I love you," I added. "But love without respect is just debt. You do not get to keep spending me." Dad's mouth worked. He did not find words. Mom made a small sound that lived between a sob and a curse. Ava lifted her chin like a dare. "You will be back," she said. "I will not," I answered. "Not like this." I walked to the door. My boots were heavy. I picked up the toolbox and then put it down. It belongs to people who hire me. It does not belong to people who think I am a punchline. At the threshold, Mom whispered, "You cannot mean it." I do, I said. Merry Christmas. I stepped onto the porch. The cold got under my jacket and made everything feel clean. The door shut behind me with the same neat click from earlier, but the sound was not the same. I stood there in the humming porch light and let the quiet reach me. Then I went home. The next morning, my phone looked like it had been in a fight. 41 missed calls overnight. By noon, 68. By evening, 103. Mom left 10 voicemails. They started with, "Call me right now," and slid into sobbing silences. Dad texted in bursts. "Grow up. Pathetic. You did not fix the sink." Ava sent a single line, "Return the doll." I put the phone face down and made coffee. My apartment felt small but mine. I wrote 3 things on a sticky note and put it on the microwave. 1. Turn off their autopay. 2. New number if needed. 3. Therapy Tuesday at 9:20 a.m. I answered. "Mom, how could you do that?" she said. "Set a boundary?" I asked. "Humiliate us?" she snapped. "On Christmas, you humiliated me," I said, "for years." She breathed hard. "So you will let us freeze?" "The heat bill." "You can call the utility," I said. "They have plans." "That is your job," she said. "My job is plumbing," I said. Click. At 10:02, Dad called. "You think you are a man now?" "I think I am done paying your bills," I said. "You make more than us." "Then spend less than you," I said. He swore at me and hung up. Ava texted, "Send me $250 for groceries and I will delete my post about you." I did not respond. 10 minutes later, she posted anyway. A black square with white text, "Some people are only useful until the money stops." Comments rolled in. Cousins I had not heard from in months popped up with, "So sorry, babe." I blocked her. She made another account. I blocked that too. I spent the afternoon canceling what I had let become normal. I called the internet provider and removed my card. The representative said, "We can split it at the next cycle." "No," I said gently. "Remove it." I canceled the family phone line I'd been stupid enough to add for a trial. I changed the streaming password. None of it felt like punishment. It felt like plugging leaks. I texted the family group once. "I will not be responding to financial requests anymore. Emergencies that involve health or safety, call 911. If you need a plumber, hire one. Love, Owen." Then I muted the thread. They tried new angles. Aunt Joan called, "Your mother is devastated." I said, "She will recover." Uncle Tom wrote, "Family is all we have." I wrote back, "Respect is part of family." 3 old neighbors messaged me some version of, "Your parents helped you so much." I replied with numbers, $51,480, screenshots of memo lines. "Oh." 2 of them replied, "Oh." The first week of January, Dad left me a voicemail that started, "You are dead to me," and ended, "Call me. I need the model number on the water heater." I did not call. I filled the space with a life. I went on runs before sunrise on streets that smelled like cold metal. I kept a bag of salt in the van for old ladies with slick steps. I ate actual meals and not just gas station sandwiches. I bought myself new work boots that did not leak. The urge to fix did not vanish. It came like muscle memory. A text tone would make my hand twitch toward the wallet. I would say out loud in the van, at the sink, carrying pipe, "This is not about revenge. This is about closure." The words steadied me like a stud in a wall. You can anchor into truth when it is solid. The calls slowed. January had 80 to 4 missed. February 39. March 12th. In April, Mom texted, "We are selling the second car." I typed, "Good," then deleted it and said nothing. In May, she wrote, "Thinking of you." I wrote back, "Me too." She did not reply. That felt honest. There were bright moments that did not require me to spend. Mrs. Alvarez from 2 blocks over slid a jar of jam across my front stoop with a note, "Thank you for helping." When we flooded, I left her a thank you card and fixed her dripping hose bib for free because kindness is not the same as enabling. I saw my dad at the hardware store in June. He nodded at me like I was a guy he used to work with. He bought the wrong size trap and I did not correct him. In the parking lot, he said, "The sink is still slow." I said, "Call a plumber." He looked at my van and then at me and said nothing. Ava kept posting through it. People sent me screenshots I did not ask for. She called me the banker brother who cut us off and a hater. She also did brand deals for protein bars and a thrifted jacket labeled ethical. I stopped opening attachments. My block list grew. Little freedoms multiplied. I turned my phone off on Sundays. I took a day trip to the lake and watched families argue gently over sunscreen, and laughed because that is normal. I replaced a bathroom fan in silence and realized no one was going to text me a screenshot while I was on the ladder. I slept well for the first time in years. In late summer, Mom asked for coffee. Just coffee, she wrote. No money talk. We picked a place with small cups and big windows. She was early, she held her mug like a prop. We talked about the weather. She said her back hurt. I said, mine too, sometimes from crawling under houses. Twice. She started to turn the talk. Twice I let the silence stay. She sighed. I miss you, she said. I miss you too, I said. We can try this again if the respect stays. She nodded once. We kept it to 20 minutes. No hugging, no fight, a start. Dad did not come. I do not know if he will. I can live with not knowing. By fall, my spreadsheet had new tabs. Savings for a better van, for time off, for a trip that is not a getaway from someone else's crisis. The tab that used to track what I spent on them sits there like a lake that froze. I do not skate on it, I leave it. And when Christmas popped up again on the calendar, I felt something I had not felt in years. Not dread, not anger, space. Here is what my life looks like now, simple and mine. I wake up before the sun, make coffee, and open the day's jobs. I text customers, clean windows, show up when I say, and do clean work. I keep extra gloves in the van for cold hands and dog treats for suspicious terriers. I eat lunch at a small diner that knows my name. I read on my breaks. I block numbers that feel like old traps. I do not explain, I do not defend. Some nights I think about knocking on my parents' door. I picture the porch light, the wind chime, the small click of the lock. Then I picture the doll on the table next to the stack of proofs. I do not want revenge. I want peace. Peace means not walking back into rooms where I am the joke and the wallet at the same time. Mom texts sometimes. We met twice more for coffee. Once she said, I did not realize how much we took. I said, I did not realize how much I gave. She nodded. She did not ask for money. That was the whole conversation. Really. Dad has not called. Maybe he will when the water heater finally dies. Maybe he will call a stranger and hand over a check and feel what it is like to pay for help. That would be good for him. Ava posted a story last week. Some people only love you when you are useful, she wrote over a selfie. Someone sent me the screenshot. I did not open it. Love is not usefulness and money is not love. I know that now in a way that lives in my bones. I do not measure my goodness in memos anymore. I measure it in how I talk to people, in how I talk to myself, and how quickly I pick up when a real emergency rings, and how easily I let a fake one roll to voicemail. I keep a short list taped inside my van door. I will not fund adults who mock me. I will not answer screenshots. I will not be shamed into just this once. I will help when I choose, not when I am cornered. I will say no like a complete sentence. I will keep my hands clean and my calendar mine. On Christmas Eve this year, I will work a half day. Then I will make lasagna and open the door for a couple of neighbors who do not have plans. We will put our phones in a bowl. We will eat until we are warm. I will tell them the sink is off limits for the night. They will laugh. I will laugh with them. If Mom texts, I will read it. If it is kind, I will answer. If it is a screenshot, I will not. If Dad calls to order a fix, I will breathe and let it ring. If Ava posts a black square, it will stay a black square in a world I do not have to see. I started this by saying I fix pipes. That is still true. But I also fixed something else, the valve on my own life. I turned it to where it should have been all along. The pressure dropped, the banging stopped. This is not a victory lap. It is a quiet end to a noisy habit. I will not pay for anything anymore that cost me my self-respect. I am not angry. I am done. This is not about revenge. This is about closure. And I am finally home. Looking back, that Christmas Eve feels less like a single night, and more like the moment a long cracked pipe finally burst. I stood on the porch with a tray of ziti cooling against my hip, Ava's voice still ringing. We don't want a plumber at dinner. And I realized I had spent 35 years confusing love with labor. Every bill I paid, every emergency call I answered at midnight, every mocking joke I swallowed with a smile had been my way of proving I belonged. I thought if I fixed enough leaks in their lives, they would finally see me as more than the reliable background fixture, the house wallet with legs. But that night, under the humming porch light, I understood the truth. They never intended to see me any other way. What hurts most, looking back, isn't the cruelty of the plastic baby doll or the laughter when Ava blocked the door. It's the quiet grief for the boy I was. The one who picked up a paper route when Dad lost his job, who learned to snake drains from YouTube videos so he wouldn't have to pay a stranger, who believed that giving everything would earn me a real place at the table. I mourn that boy because he deserved better than to be trained like a dog, buzz, transfer, good boy. I mourn the years I spent measuring my worth in memo lines and auto pays. telling myself resentment was just part of being the oldest, the responsible one. There were moments of anger, sharp and hot, especially in the weeks after I walked out. The missed calls piling up, Mom's voicemails sliding from fury to tears, Ava's passive-aggressive posts. It all stung. But anger burned off quickly, leaving something heavier, sorrow. Sorrow for a family that could only express need through demands and mockery. Sorrow for parents who taught me love meant never saying no, then punished me for finally saying it. Sorrow, too, for the version of us that might have existed if respect had ever flowed both ways. Yet looking back now, from this quieter distance, what I feel most is relief. A deep, steady exhale I didn't know I'd been holding for decades. The valve is closed, the pressure has dropped, the banging in my chest has stopped. I no longer wake up scanning my phone for screenshots of red-stamped bills. I no longer flinch when the group text lights up. My life is smaller in some ways. No grand holidays, no performative family circle. But it is mine. My money stays in my account. My time belongs to me. My hands, still scraped and calloused, now fix only what I choose to fix. There is still love. Complicated and careful. The brief coffees with Mom, the cautious neutral texts, the space where something new might one day grow if respect ever takes root. But love no longer feels like leakage. It feels like a choice, not a debt. Looking back, I see that night not as the moment I lost my family, but as the moment I finally found myself. The plumber who walked away from that porch carrying nothing but his own worth. The man who learned that closure isn't revenge. It's coming home to a life where no one mocks you for showing up exactly as you are.